call to the honourable member for Wentworth.
Thank you so much. And I just want to, Mr Speaker, I'd like to make a few quick remarks in reply to the Minister. Firstly, I wanted to say, which I should have said in my first speech, is thank you so much for your engagement on this. It's been incredibly constructive, and I appreciate the genuine openness to the conversations. I think in terms of, the couple of points I want to make is the reason why I'm focusing on market failure is because we have a $3 trillion super industry in this country. We have a huge amount of private money. If private money can get behind these industries, they're going to actually have a huge opportunity to drive them even further. So I'm very supportive of private money getting behind there, and I don't want public money to confuse that. I want public money to help enable that, and then private money to really take off. And so I'm really focused on where public money can be spent that will reduce the market failure, that will then later enable private money to get in there, and also more from a policy and regulation point of view, understanding if there are opportunities there and there is no market failure, why isn't private money getting in there, and what can we do to actually help them drive that. In relation to your areas that you identified, I appreciate it came from that CSIRO report. It's a very good report. My concern is it was written in 2020. It's some distance ago, and we were in a very different time. And secondly, and also, as I understand, the fund has not been completely allocated. So there is still money that may go into different sections, and it's my particular concern that money that goes into different sectors is allocated effectively where there is market failure or on the basis of really rigorous analysis. Finally, on your point on inflation and trying to do inflation reduction, I take your point on that, but I also think we need to note that part of the driver of inflation in this country and around the world is very high government spending out of the pandemic. And so this is why I've got a concern on this and all government spending now, because there is a public sector driver of inflation that we have for good reason spend a lot of money, but that is one of the drivers of inflation, as well as supply chain issues across the world. And then finally, just on locally manufacturing, I support local manufacturing. In my family business, we manufacture locally, which makes us pretty unusual. But at the same time, I'm conscious that if products, particularly in this green transition, if making them locally means that they're much more expensive than they otherwise would be, or they are slower or harder to get to bring to market, then we will be costing ourselves more in this transition. And so I think we have to think very, very carefully about this balance and how to make sure that whatever we are supporting can, over the long term, is either critically required from a supply chain reliability or is important, is otherwise able to, at some point, able to stand on its own 2 feet, so the government doesn't always have to step in. Thank you.